Welcome back to the Disciplined Troublemakers podcast. I'm your host, Scott Shagory. Here on DT, we talk about scaling great tech companies and helping CEOs do that with greater ease and flow. Today, we'll be talking with Igor Debatur. He's the co-founder and CEO of a company called Uploadcare. Founded in 2012, the company is a file loader, data handler, and content delivery network platform, which ensures that data is uploaded with security and compliance and reliable storage in mind. The company saves internal development teams months of development time and effort, and the platform currently handles about 25 billion plus requests per week. Earlier in his career, he was the founder of an app called Riders, which helped over 1 million users in the sports disciplines area, such as skateboarding and skiing. Today we'll be talking with Igor about the unique challenges and opportunities around scaling SaaS companies and Uploadcare. Igor, thank you for carving out time to chat with us today, and welcome to the Disciplined Troublemakers podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I guess, I've provided a little bit in the intro there, but could you, and my listeners are quite technical and founders and CEOs, but I'm not sure everybody will truly appreciate what you guys do. So can you share a little bit more about either your journey, why you started it, and what the company does in terms of for development teams and for others, a bit of your secret sauce, if you wouldn't mind?
For sure. Yeah. It was always a hard question for us because I was an engineer when we started. My co-founders, they were engineers or product-driven people. So we understood what problem we were solving. And our best customer portrait, they also understood. But for everyone else, it was so hard. So right now, the quick intro is that at Uploadcare, we help other tech companies to build stuff. So when some other tech company wants to launch a new product or upgrade the current product that they have, that requires to get a lot of files from users. For example, you are building a marketplace, you are building a next Instagram or next YouTube or next HubSpot. Yeah. You need to get terrific amounts of files from users, would it be images or videos or documents. Then you need to store them somewhere. In many cases, you want to check them for malware, check them for abusive content, then you need to deliver them at scale. And when you deliver images or videos, you don't want to deliver source files. You want to optimize them because all the users, they are different. Different locations, different devices, different screen sizes, different technologies supported by their browsers. Okay. So in real time, on the fly, we optimize this content, package it in the right way, and deliver it at very large scale. So if you are building some pet project, it may be no sense to use some advanced technology. But if you wanted to scale to thousands of users, to 10,000 of users, or to millions, it makes sense to invest in using some better technology because otherwise you will still have to spend this months and years of time just thinking about some mundane part that you didn't think is important, but it has resulted to be really important.
Yeah, no, that I think, summarizes it nicely. I hadn't thought about, say, Instagram or some of the other social media platforms, just as an example, in terms of where you guys, started as, customers utilizing your platform and methodology and so forth versus where you are now. Who, maybe without names, but what areas and so forth where you see, was it in banking and finance, et cetera, or was it in other areas, or has it been a real mix in terms of who is using your technology and the way in which you guys have implemented it?
It has been a real mix from the very beginning. So we wanted to solve the file handling problem, how to upload files in the internet back in 2012. Yep. So we ran a web development agency back then, and we helped other companies to launch something. And we just understood every time that when we built something new, would it be a marketplace or website builder or anything else, file uploads were a trouble. So we went to Hacker News and we just asked the community, maybe we thought that maybe we were mistaken. Maybe everyone else had the solution. And it has resulted that no, there wasn't any solution. And we started building just a basic file uploader that just worked. And it was quite neat. So people loved it. And we started getting the audience. But I remember that one of our first customers, it was a marketplace, a website builder, then some online printing. And they stick with us for all these years.
Yeah, no, I think that's always a great reminder, both of if customers have stuck with you for many, many years now, that's always fantastic. And then two, just it highlights the variety of the same challenge that many have if you do have a substantial number of files that do need to be moved from location A to B, whether that's a phone to the cloud or whatever that might look like. Interesting. In terms of with where you guys are now, if the 25 billion per week is still an accurate figure or if it has jumped since then, what does scale mean to you guys now? Is it measured by the number of uploads and the movement of data quantified as you do, or is that something else in terms of how you guys think about scale for you and the team right now?
It's both. The number of uploads is still important. So the more uploads, meaning more users use Uploadcare on various websites and products.
Yeah.
But also the amount of traffic that we serve. In some cases, some products, they don't have too many uploads, but they serve terabytes, hundreds of terabytes of data. Also important. And the amount of customers. The number of customers also important for us because customers are very different. Some of them, they're just indie hackers using our technology just to launch faster to see how it goes. Mm-hmm. And some of them, they're large enterprise companies and it's very different scales for our customer base.
Yeah. Do you find too, is it a case where you have some customers who are, I'll call it Instagram style, where customers or end users are uploading literally all the time, 24/7 on a national or global basis, versus those who might batch in some way and be uploading or shifting files at particular points in time? Or is it a case where it really is very much kind of all over the place? Do you guys have a sense of that as to how that works for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if I think about the average, I would say that people upload stuff every day, every hour, every minute. So if it's a marketplace, people want to sell something, people want to buy something, it's just a constant process. Online printing is at large scale the same. Website builders, people upload something, they run A/B tests, it's always happening. Mm-hmm. So yeah, in most cases, it's ongoing process, nonstop.
Yeah, I can imagine. In terms of, I guess, how you guys, think about growth or, even forecast that, you've obviously been around a while. You have customers who've been with you many years, so you can have some sense of things. But I would imagine that there are circumstances where there can be massive spikes or where there can be, again, trying to predict that, what I think of as deep intel into what it is your customers need or that they can share that desire with you, but how people use data, even I'm using myself as an example, can be quite unpredictable or surprising even to me. So how do you guys either think about that intel or forecast or plan in a way that allows you, where I'm guessing you're not a huge team, to really be able to leverage what you do at scale, 24/7, 365, literally there's not any downtime. So what does that look like for you guys, if you could share that?
Yeah, it's another great question. I really like that you're asking in-depth stuff. So definitely not a huge team. We have about 40 people right now working at Uploadcare. So not super small, but not crazy large. Yep. And we have a lot of historical data showing us that we do have spikes, for example, November or December, because many of our customers, they are in e-commerce and they promote what they do a lot in the end of the year. So we expect some spikes. Good news is that our platform is scalable. It's automatically scalable. So we can avoid any unnecessary hiccups when we see the spikes. But when we migrate a larger customer to Uploadcare, usually it requires some careful monitoring and involvement of our DevOps team. So when we want to migrate 1 million of files in an hour, we definitely want to keep an eye on what's happening. So it's a combination of predictions for historical usage and multiplied by auto-scaling. So the platform will scale itself. No one will start new servers. They will start automatically.
Yeah.
But in some cases, it's manual work involved, some solution architect and DevOps who will take a careful look on the migration process.
Yeah. Do you guys find, I presume that the cloud platforms that you are multi-tenant, do you guys also operate on an international or a global scale where there are platforms, not just AWS here in the States or in Europe or elsewhere, but there are obviously lots of other cloud-based infrastructure platforms that a team might want for specific purposes. Do you guys operate in a way that allows you to do that, or is it a case where you are picking, again, I'll use a US-centric example of Google Cloud, Azure, and AWS, and that's, again, the platform or the methodology or the infrastructure that you use, or do you have to think in different ways depending on who your customers are and what they are looking for and where their markets are? If you could comment about that, I think that would be just interesting to understand a little bit better with what you could share.
Right. We never had an actual geographic target for our customer audience. So when we started, we just understood that every developer in the world, they speak English. So we just have written our docs and published our website.
Yep.
And in the end, we do have a lot of customers in North America historically, because I think from the mentality perspective, people in North America, they value their time a lot. And also a combination with engineering resources that cost huge amount of money. So in many cases, they prefer to pay for a solution instead of building it themselves. At the same time, Western Europe, they also moved towards this direction. So we have a lot of customers from Western Europe as well. And Asia, we have one of our largest customers based in Philippines or Indonesia. Mm-hmm. So our customers, they're geographically scattered, for sure, with some concentration in North America, Western Europe, and Asia. And their customers and their audience, definitely every country in the world, maybe except North Korea. I'm not sure if internet works there.
Yeah, I can understand where there might be some limitations with respect to North Korea. Yeah, I just think it's fascinating. I've been like yourself in the tech space for quite a long time and just watched it naturally grow. Where here in North America, we're very convenience oriented. We obviously do buy and have for a long period of time many things online. And as we all know, it accelerated fantastically during COVID. But other markets that maybe were a little bit behind would inevitably need and want the same services yourself replicated for that particular local market and those services and things like that. But we humans are all the same. We want to buy stuff and we want to buy it quickly and we want it to be efficient. And so it's always interesting to me how that kind of morphs naturally if you're following customers, following, clients and things like that, which is really cool. What do you think is currently still, because you guys have been around for a while, or historically was, but maybe even now is not the case quite so much. What do you think is most misunderstood in the market today about what your company does?
I think this build versus buy thing is still huge in the world. Because many companies, they are still trying to build solutions like ours by themselves. At the same time, the best example of the customer portrait that we want to target is a CTO who already tried to build it by themselves. In this case, they do not want to do this anymore. But many companies, they are ran by CTOs who never tried and they really want to do this. And engineers, they still like to code. So yeah, I think it's still a misconception. So yeah, we still fight it. We still fight this trend of build versus buy.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. It is one of those almost cultural things where the natural tendency of someone who, enjoys software development is to think, well, of course I can go ahead and I can build the same thing, or I can build it with quote unquote newer technology or in the way that we need because I understand my customer, I understand our team, I understand other things. But then you get pulled into stuff that's ends up being a lot more challenging or just simply soaks up more time because you're pulled in 5 other different directions as a CTO in something that you need. I've got several friends in the cybersecurity space with a similar challenge where they have developed something. They try to obviously sell it to other software engineers. And many times, not always, but many times, that the rebuff will be, well, we can just go ahead and build this ourselves. And of course, the question or the statement is very much like yours. We can do this much, much faster, but that's not always the case. But it's interesting that the CTO, if they've done it once and they learn their lesson, they'll go ahead and obviously be much more interested and open to the idea that somebody else has already solved this problem. We can go ahead and just utilize their solution. Are they the
That's
easiest?
right.
Yeah, are they the easiest to sell to, relatively speaking, or is it a case where they have, because they were not successful, either more detailed questions or other sorts of challenges with those who are interested in your service or in your platform?
I just wanted to add that some potential problems, they're kind of unseen for CTOs and for technical team leaders. Yeah. So they can think that it's easy to handle file uploads. It's not too hard. It's not too hard to put files to Amazon S3, and it's kind of auto-scalable, so it will work. And even to put a content delivery network on top, it's not that hard. But what if someone will upload some really dark stuff and start sharing it to other people on your company domain name? You have to deal with it. And there are processes, and they're unclear, and you will have to report this to officials. And at our scale, we already solved this, but it's just unseen. Even at our scale, we started getting this kind of content after many years when we launched. So it's just a random chance that your company can be attacked by something like this, or malware, or phishing, something. And you have to, then next day, you have to build signed uploads, secure URLs, and the whole amount of features that you didn't even know that you will have to build. So it can be surprising.
Yeah, no, it's so true where it for a small fun project or even still, a very well known or defined number of files, and you're only serving a small client base, and they're completely innocuous, but it's very clear how quickly that can change if you do receive some sort of attack, or just things simply change for your company. It's just things get complex, and scale is quite challenging. My background's in the networking space, and we always assumed that if we tested it on 15 devices, it would work perfectly on 100 devices, but that wasn't always, that was rarely the case. And then if you scaled it to, 500 units, you all of a sudden found other problems that you'd never encountered before whatsoever. And, in my case, it was benign. It wasn't, dark web type content or anything of the sort. So, it's to really kind of be able to see what it is that you actually truly need. And many people, even CTOs, don't know that on a technical basis and the full scope of it. Yeah, no, very true. Well, let's go ahead and just take a short break, and we will be right back. Purple Finch Group helps technology CEOs innovating at the edge of chaos create operational fitness across their technology stack and team of talent. Achieving significant and measurable scale, selling your story, and finding time to think and plan can feel like a bridge too far. So if you're a CEO whose company has found product market fit, but is struggling, or you're a CEO whose company is looking to accelerate existing momentum, we can help with proven blueprints for optimal scale. Shifting from incremental addition to exponential multiplication can be absolutely achieved with less effort and stress. To get in touch, I can be reached at Scott with 2 T's at purplefinchgroup.com. Now, back to the interview. Well, we are back here, and what I would like to do, I think, is shift gears ever so slightly and talk about your role as a CEO. So I'm curious what type of work, the work that you do now, gives you joy and energy, given that you are a co-founder. You've been running this company for, a good 13 years almost. What brings you joy and energy with the work that you do?
So when our company was acquired, it has happened in the beginning of 2024. My idea was to see if it works or not. Like, would it be interesting for us to stick around? Wouldn't it be interesting? Because we didn't have any real strings attached, any earnout, which is rare, but we managed to get the structure where we didn't have any real earnout.
Yeah.
So my idea was to join the larger structure to see how processes work. Because when we joined, we were 36 people. Now we are several hundred people, and it's very, very different. And it actually brings me joy. I have an ability to think more about the strategy, to think about collaboration of our company with other company in our group. We have 4 right now.
Yeah.
To participate in thinking about next steps for the whole holding company. Do we want to acquire someone? How we onboard them? Would it be an add-on for other companies? It's really interesting to think at the higher level. And also I learned a lot of things like goal setting at a higher level, monitoring numbers at a really more in-depth level. And some things, they looked bureaucratic as a founder of a smaller company, but many of them, they really make sense. And it's an interesting combination. Even when I start something else in the future, I think this will be really useful for me from the day one to understand some things that I should have known, but I couldn't. And to learn from this experience of other companies and people around, it's interesting. It actually brings me joy.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. It's, you do hear of founder stories where, there was an exit, whatever that got, ironed out as. And usually it can often be quite a bumpy road, whether someone stays, whether they don't, what that earnout looks like. Again, just there are usually some very big changes as a consequence of that, because of course it's somebody else's company and their priorities. To hear a really nice story like this, where there's been obviously a growth trajectory for yourself, is really interesting. If you're comfortable sharing, because I'm naturally curious myself, is what made you decide to go ahead and sell the company to be part of a larger entity, one that I believe, with my research preparing for this, which is PE backed or some venture backed. Was it you just felt the need to make a shift, or was there something else at play too, where you thought, 1 + 1 could equal 5, as you've described, and I'd like to kind of be part of that? What kind of led to the sale and things like that? Again, if you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah. So when we started thinking about selling the company was close to break-evenness, and we managed to get it to be break-even, then cash positive. It really helped. At the same time, when we thought how to grow it in the future, it definitely great technology, I think. And some of our customers think the same. But we kind of lost this venture way because we weren't growing as fast as was needed to raise next major rounds. And the market wasn't ideal. So we could have raised round A+, but the market wasn't ideal for that. And we just understood that the multiples won't be where we want them to be. And I started just considering other options. And every few days I received an email from some PE or other investors interested in buying the company. And I just started answering some of them. I started talking to our leadership team if they are open to this idea. And in the end, I just found that the best structure that we can achieve is to find some strategic investor who is not interested just in getting not just interested in getting profits out of the company, but actually who can see the future strategy for us and maybe to join Uploadcare as a part of their future larger idea to connect Uploadcare to other companies in their portfolio. And in our case, so we were acquired by PSG. It's a large private equity, several tens of $1 billion under management. So it's super huge, very professional, loved working with them. But it would have been really hard to work with them directly because they're financial buyers. They know how to count. They are not really operators. But PSG, they created a smaller holding group. They created Tayugo. And in Tayugo, we have just 4 companies. And people who run Tayugo, they're actual operators. So they did this before. They know what they're doing. They know the whole strategy behind this. And we trusted them. So we had several interested parties. We had several letters of intent. So we could have chosen. And we were really lucky. It took us a while to build this pipeline to be able to choose from different buyers. So we decided to go with a buyer who we trusted. We found a way how to get some testimonials from other companies acquired by this group. And they were positive. And this worked out. Is it luck? I wouldn't say so. It was a hard work, actually, to build an enormous pipeline, to communicate with all of them, to make our research, some deep research. And then it worked out.
Yeah. No, I think, you guys were really smart to do that because, again, it's due diligence or research, just like any other. You've done that for your customers and your clients, building out a technology platform. It's the same type of work for finding that right financial partner, whatever that might look like. And it's not always easy. And to your point with the NDAs and other things, it can be more challenging to find, a fellow CEO or somebody else who has been acquired by them, or one where it didn't even work out and you had an opportunity to chat with them. And, just to figure that out and figure out what works for you and your team, which could be very different from, somebody else and what you're hoping to achieve with the company that you've, worked incredibly hard to go ahead and create and build something unique for people that simply did not exist before. So the fact that you've had such a positive experience, both with the buy process, the LOIs, and all of the due diligence and everything else that you had to go through, and then now afterwards to be part of a small cohort or a small series of companies and yet be attached to something much larger, is nice pipeline too. And to be able just to learn from everybody around you for a period of time until you're ready is, I think, just a great learning opportunity, and to see things from a different perspective and how they communicate with each other, I think will be, invaluable to you when you found the new company, when you talk to anybody else, when you share and, provide some advice to people as well, that you'll just say, hey, also consider this. These are the things that they're going to be caring about. These are their, if you will, fears. These are their customers, those LPs, those other people, and those folks are important. We need to understand what that is and how to go ahead and communicate with those particular stakeholders. So,
I found a really good analogy that actually helped us to fundraise when we fundraised and then helped to sell the company. Because I talked to many founders, their companies were acquired. Our case is kind of rare when we really like working with the buyer. It's really rare, but I don't really understand why. So getting back to the analogy, when we fundraised, I thought about fundraising as hiring. So I thought we are hiring some people to join our team. Money is second, because there is a lot of money in the market. You can get it from basically anywhere, any country, any background of the investor, any name. It would be top tier investor, could be a smaller investor, but more interested. And that's all. Everything is about people. Who are their LPs? Who will be the partner who will work with you? is there a culture fit working with this partner? Because they will join your board calls. They will try to persuade you doing something.
Yeah.
The same with buyer. So also it was like hiring a buyer sounds a bit weird, but it worked as well because we still work with these people. We like them in the process and we continue liking each other. So it worked.
Yeah, no, I think if you can trust somebody or trust a team, you can trust and respect somebody and genuinely believe that what they're telling you is their true intent. And it's not a bait and switch. It's not going to change. It's really about what they need to be doing. And the acquisition of your company is something that is of great value to them, and they understand why. That's just hugely, hugely powerful. And I think it's great that it has worked out, well for you again during the buy process as well as now afterwards, where it's been a year or a little bit more than that. So that's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah. Glad to share the story. I hope that more of founders will be able to do the same, to find the buyer who we are actually okay working with. Because if the financial outcome is all right, but there is an earnout and you understood that in the due diligence process, you kind of hated these people for asking weird questions, or maybe you didn't feel comfortable, you need to remember there will be an earnout. You will have to work with them more and more, and then they will have leverage, because in due diligence process, their only leverage is not to buy your company. But when it's bought and you're waiting for some financial outcome after 2, 3, 4 years, it can be quite crazy. And I know founders who left companies without half of their money just because they couldn't do this anymore.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of regrettable carnage around that, with misaligned incentives to just not getting along on a very human level. It's just, it's really unfortunate that is what unfolds, and it is sadly quite common, which is great to, share your story around that it in fact has worked and worked out really well for you, which is fantastic. I guess as a last question to ask, with your journey to date, how has being a CEO of a company now for 13 years, which is quite a long time, either changed you or transformed you? How might you either think differently, or what is it about that kind of at the core that you think has transformed you in some way? If you don't mind answering, excuse me.
I think that the core is still intact. So I really liked uniting people around ideas. Mm-hmm. I found a way to phrase it, because when I was about 17 years old, I remember I pitched the story to my friend. I told him that I want to build a company. We will build products. We will gather a team, and it will be cool. And I was just 17 years old, never worked on really anything. Just the most interesting thing I did, I started a guild in Ultima Online. And I started my own server. But still, it was basically the same. I really loved creating something for people, united them around this idea, and just to look at how happy they could be, both the team working on something and the users of this product. And I think that's why I moved towards web development, because it's the quickest turnaround. You don't need to build a physical product. You can launch a website or a forum or the community, and you can see how people are happy. And it was the main driver. I think it stayed the same. So technically, I learned a lot. I know a lot of techniques. I practiced a lot. Many mistakes made, many lessons learned, still many to make in the future. But in overall, the whole story around my motivation, it stayed the same. Just I have more experience right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's hugely powerful. Or humans connecting with other humans. That none of that has changed in terms of our need to connect with other people. we've seen that ebb and flow, and certainly be challenged during COVID and so forth, and just how powerful that is for all of us. So yeah, to be able to bring people together, whether it is a team for a new idea, service, or product, or just that guild and some other things too. It's those little things sometimes when we're just starting out with whatever that might be, that can be such a powerful catalyst for being, creating stuff down the road that is hugely impactful and ultimately hugely satisfying for yourself, for your team, and ultimately the people that you're serving, which is great.
Yeah, cool. And actually, just a quick add-on of that. Actually, creating this guild and building the website for this guild, it helped me to land my first job, because I didn't have anything to show except this website for the guild, and it helped. In 20 years ago, it worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's always, I think, interesting where we'll call it a project, where again, it just, it demonstrates initiative, a passion for learning something that you might not know a lot about, or be making, mistakes, or just different twists and turns. And there are plenty of rabbit holes in tech to get caught up in. So yeah, it's just one of those things where, again, just that impetus to try something is often the most potent in what resonates with people. So cool. Well, congratulations. As the last question here, how would you like people to reach out to you? Is that either through LinkedIn maybe, or perhaps on your website? What would work best for you if they, after listening to this or hearing it, think, I'd like to reach out to them and have a chat?
Website, LinkedIn. I try to read all the messages on LinkedIn, which is hard. I'm still trying to do that. So yeah, the website, I think it's a good starting point.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's my surname.com. It's debatur.com.
Gotcha. Okay, that sounds great. Well, again, I want to thank you for carving out time to chat with us today. It's always great to dig into some technical details and then zoom back out as, someone who's been a founder now for quite a few years. And for all of you out there, we will be back with another episode of the Disciplined Troublemakers podcast very soon. Cheers. Thank you for tuning into the Disciplined Troublemakers podcast, and we hope you found the episode valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the Disciplined Troublemakers podcast on your favorite platform and leave a review. Putting this podcast together is a group effort, so I'd like to provide a shout out to Heartcast Media and their team for all of the assistance they provide with each episode. If you want to get in touch with me directly, I can be reached at Scott with 2 T's at purplefinchgroup.com. Purple Finch Group is the sponsor of this podcast. We have another podcast episode out very shortly. Stay tuned.